to happen. And those are some of the issues that I think I need to raise them, Chair. Option 4, unfortunately, I was looking for that document in my emails there. I don't get it, the one with recommendations. Because I wanted to zoom into option 4, what does it actually entails? Before one can say, because I'm going to when they were presenting and we were just noting certain things. But when you talk option 4 on the recommendation, you must say in brackets, this is what option 4 is suggesting. So that we are able to apply our minds. And I will be pleased, Chair, if they can just clarify me with regard to that. But it is important that we need to administratively ensure that when September comes, we don't find ourselves wanting. But also, did they take into cognizance the report from former Deputy Justice, Yago Life Case Demand? Did they go through that report? Did they identify those challenges that that report says? Did they consider some of the recommendations that are there? Are they part of the broader presentation that they've made? Have they considered them? So that we should take example of some of the provinces or departments and make sure that we do our things a little bit better. Thanks, Chair, for now.
Thank you, Honorable Masenko. Honorable Kala.
Thanks, Chairperson. Let me start by appreciating the presentation that was made and further appreciate the legislature staff that managed to ensure that as 3 committees, we have a joint meeting today, partially covered by the Honorable Maseko on our expectations of the presence of the MECs. Chairperson, to say that we are dealing with this issue of Shiluvana Frail Care Center as committees, that it is premature. It doesn't sound right at all, because we requested for this meeting after it was the Social Development Department. When we dealt with their APP in the meeting, they requested the intervention of the committee. Hence why it also formed part of the recommendations of the budget or the APP or the report of the APP. So we are seated here after the department requested the intervention of the Committee of Social Development to say, perhaps we must have a meeting with the health together with yourselves and other members, JA Health Portfolio Committee. This was after they highlighted that they've allocated 75 million to the center from their budget, highlighting that they feel burdened financially to be taking care of that center. With that being said, Honorable Chair, I hope that perhaps there's still someone from health who will answer our questions, which will be directed. My questions will be mixed, so the health and social development will pick which ones are there. And at the beginning of the meeting, they highlighted 47 workers were fired after that. I do understand that it was an illegal strike. However, just a clarity as to where does the issue of those workers stand, because some of them may not understand the processes of legal and illegal strikes. What is happening regarding those workers? Because as a legislature, we don't want surprises to think that we have dealt with this issue at Shiluvana Frail Care Center only after a year to have those workers taking the life estimate, which is funded by SD or health at that point, to body CCMA or somewhere else. So if they can just provide clarity on that. At some point in one of the reports that were submitted to the Social Development Committee, they highlighted that there was a waiting list of people that needs to be admitted to the center. What are the plans to ensure, if I can ask before, is the waiting list still there? Has the number decreased or increased? And what are the plans around that to ensure that we can be able to accommodate those on the waiting list going forward? The presentation gave us an option, which was option 4, that the status quo remains. As I highlighted at the beginning, Social Dev highlighted that they were burdened. They couldn't take care of life, of Shiluvana Frail Care Center. Now, if we take the option 4, I just want to know, Chair, how binding will this agreement be? Wouldn't the social development then come back to us as a committee to say they're experiencing challenges, as they have highlighted before, the reason of this meeting that we are having today? And on the issues of the options that we were given, that they were talking about, they have highlighted that it is not even endorsed yet by ESCO. It is still in the works, to my understanding. In 2018, there was a letter by the then Minister, Aaron Motsoaledi, highlighting that we do not even have a mental health directorate. I would like to know if we have it now or not. The policy, it was not there at that point. But in his letter, he highlighted that it is the Department of Health that that center needs the most. So when we hear of these options that have been made by the social development or the joint presentation, in the letter, the minister said he deployed a task team of medical expertise to that center. We make option 1, the 2s and 3s and 4, taking into consideration what that letter said, so that tomorrow we do not endorse option 4 or ESCO endorses option 4, whereas there was a letter that said it was a certain department that they needed the most. Thanks, Chairperson.
Honorable Phala, HOD.
My hand is up, Chair.
Oh, I didn't see the hand. Okay, Honorable Razilani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and good afternoon to honorable members of the Joint Portfolio Committee, and as well greetings to the HOD for Social Development and all officials, as well as officials and HOD from the Department of Health. Honorable Chair, let me join my colleagues in welcoming the report, and also just to express a word of appreciation, particularly on how the officials have been managing COVID-19 pandemic issues in the institution that we are discussing about. It is really commendable to ensure that those vulnerable people, they receive health care from their own government. Honorable Chair, coming to the issues, I don't have any intention to go to technical issues, but just to indicate, Chair, that on our side, we will have to appreciate this progress, because before the matter came to the legislature, nothing was happening. It was difficult for the two departments to really pay attention to these issues. But the matter was brought to the legislature I remember in one sitting where the MEC was even talking about this matter. Hence, I'm saying we appreciate the milestones because it is an indication that government will continue to give services to the most vulnerable people in our province, regardless of the challenges reflected in the report. Those who are responsible continue to do a sterling work, which is a commendable, honorable chair. But for me, what is key, it's on the procedural matter. So much as we appreciate that we have received this report, and also to want our officials to generate a report just to say we have received this kind of a report. But my recommendation, Chair, the strong recommendation, based on the fact that our role is to play oversight on the programs of the executive. I want to sponsor the recommendation, Chair, that we agree that we have seen the report, we reflected on the report, but we want the report to go to EXCO, and then EXCO will generate a report which will come to the legislature with clear recommendations. Not ignoring critical issues that honorable members have raised, particularly when it comes to the contract which is running in the institution. I'm sure officials who are responsible, they are the suitable people can be able to run with it. We don't want any risk involved, because even in the report that they've presented, Chair, risks have been identified as well as mitigating factors. So for me, strongly, without even saying we support that, let's go to option 1 or option 4, let's just recommend that we take this, the report should serve before EXCO. Then EXCO will bring a detailed report with clear intervention to the legislature. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Razilani. Honorable members, is there any hand before I hand over to the HOD? Honorable Munama. Honorable Munama.
Chair, I think I want to state it clearly here that I take an offense of what Honorable Pala has said when I said that this is premature, and I contextualize it in the sense that I said that this is still administrative, like the manner in which Honorable Ratzelani is saying it, to say that if it serves in all those processes so that we don't get conflicted in the process, because I don't want to see a situation whereby we get involved here in the middle of the processes. From there we are caught, we are the ones who have recommended certain things. And this is the context in which I was raising the issue of the premature. And I don't know why, to such an extent that he's raising that matter. I really definitely take an offense about that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Hand has been up, but there's no problem. Let me not repeat what Honorable members have already alluded. Just to stress the issue that of the agreement that was done by the former Minister of Health when he said, I think health, I mean the Shiluvana healthcare must be under health, not social development, because social development is only dealt with the mind of a person. So I think this is the only option, because if we don't do so, we can hear the agreement that social development and health done, but I think every department must take its responsibility so that they can be able to account. So we don't want to see what has happened in Gauteng to happen here in Limpopo. So let me not repeat what honorable members have said. I just wanted to check with the department, with the HOD, on the presentation on 5.2. Here they're talking about the wheelchairs that the toilets that the center doesn't have a wheelchair-friendly toilet. So I'm just saying, I think somewhere we are not taking our people very serious, because toilet is something that we use every minute, every hour. So to be disabled, even if they're not disabled. There are things that need to be implemented. So there's no way that you can have that kind of a center without proper toilet. So if maybe the HOD can just clear us with this thing, because what is the plan going forward? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mugaba. Honorable members, is there any hand? I don't see hands.
Yes, Chair. Hand has been up.
Honorable Livia.
No, thanks very much. Blessed morning, blessed day to you, Chairperson, and honorable members of the legislature, including the administrators from both departments. Chairperson, a lot has been said here. And with regards to this option, I'm not going to speak entirely on that, because what we are discussing here is still a subject of another sitting that is supposed to sit and chart a proper way forward. But Chairperson, I'm raising a certain pertinent issue to say the center in itself, it's not licensed or registered. Are we not opening up for litigations either on both departments or on the DSD or Department of Health itself? I want to suggest here and propose, Chairperson, to say, in our quest of finalizing in terms of which department is responsible for the center itself, can we expedite the issue of licensing that particular center if it's possible? Because we cannot sit in this meeting and even leave this meeting when there was an issue, a very important and critical issue that was raised to say the center is not licensed. That in itself, it's setting us, or even the members of the executive or the entire provincial government of Limpopo, for a very certain catastrophic dilemma that is standing before us, Chairperson. With the issue that Honorable Mugaba Pukani has raised here of a mere ablution facility, honorable members seated here, I don't know if we are supposed to blame ourselves or we are not supposed to apportion blame to anybody. But those are the things that we cannot sit in a portfolio committee and discuss to say a center does not have a proper functioning toilet. A center is not registered. Something is wrong somewhere, Chairperson. And seated here, things must be done, and things must be done in a very extraordinary way, because those people that are attached to that center, they are human beings first, Chairperson, and whatever we cannot want ourselves to be subjected to, we should not allow our very own people to be subjected to those issues and matters entirely. So, Chairperson, I want to raise it here that is there something that we can do? The department that is responsible for licensing, that let's start with that. Whereas we are waiting for the correct channel of meetings to approve or take a decision on this particular freight center, what is it that can be done from us here, leaving this particular joint portfolio committee? Because for us to sit here, we do agree that the issue of the center must still go and serve in another meeting elsewhere. But we must live here with a tangible solution to say, first, the issue of licensing. I don't think it will need us to take it to the ESCO. If it does, yes, well. But if it's something that we can sort out between the two MECs, let it happen. The issue of a toilet, let all those things that we can do now as low-hanging fruits, let's attend to them while we allow the meeting, the situation of the center to go through to relevant structures for proper solution, Chairperson. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Honorable Livia. Honorable Silani.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I think report has been presented, and we as committee members who have reflected upon the presentation. And to conclude, we can't say we're satisfied, but we must just appreciate the fact that ultimately both departments came to present. And that is the reason why I've said that it shows that work is being done. But given the dissatisfaction that I think we're expressing on quite a number of aspects, in particular in the Frail Care Center, delegation of duties and responsibility, will then require us to continue to convene these meetings, maybe monthly, so that we can give a progress report in terms of the implementations of the things that these departments have been proposing. And as a result, I think you'll then understand that amongst other issues, the question of licensing, which Honorable Levia was just alluding, and other honorable members, that we're not so sure if this is being licensed or not, what then become the issue. If they've not yet done anything, we are recommending that they must go back and to the drawing board and do the work that will satisfy the people of Limpopo thus far. My proposal, Chairperson, will be that let this department give us progress reports monthly, and I think we need to convene the meetings because September is around the corner. Let's have the monthly report where they report, monthly meetings where they report to give us progress report in terms of the implementation on certain things which were not done thus far. So I think it will be important because if we are to leave these things and they say, no, let them go to do their work, we are running a risk where in actual fact, by the time when the contract ends on that September whatsoever, we'll be told on small things which were supposed to be done, whereas in actual fact were not done. So I think it will be of paramount importance that given the agency of this issue, it requires a collective effort and a collective attention. I think we must just agree that in every month we must be forwarded progress report in terms of implementation, but moreover we need to meet monthly so that we expedite this issue, so that we are not found wanting ultimately when things have been torn apart. So I think that would be my proposal, Chairperson, that let us receive progress report monthly, but at the same time also let's meet to check whether indeed department they've implemented in a form of progress report monthly, so that we satisfy ourselves. We can arrive at the conclusion that the committee is satisfying itself in terms of the work which has been done by this department. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Selani. I will then hand over to the HOD to respond. Other matters that honorable members have proposed, we have noted them. But others that need the HOD to respond on, he can just respond. HOD?
No, thanks very much, Chairperson. Let me just start by acknowledging and also profoundly appreciating all the comments, inputs made by honorable members. And indeed, it is actually our belief that the inputs that have been raised will definitely enrich our proposals, you know, in terms of trying by all means to contradict the current status quo, to ensure that we do everything within our powers to preserve, protect, and actually take care of those that are vulnerable, who do not have any other option but to seek solace and assistance from the side of government. So, which is the reason why, Chairperson, basically, we came here to try. If you check, we have subdivided our reporting into two. One was dealing with the profile, and the sole purpose of the profile was basically to paint a vivid picture, gloomy as it is, you know, with its weaknesses, with all the challenges, structural defects that we have, and human resource challenges that we have, any other challenge that we have. We have actually done that with the purpose, so that members, because we have been deprived an opportunity because of COVID to actually visit the facility. So we intended that it's important that you understand how the situation is at the moment, Chair. Now, we also want to indicate on few other issues as part of trying to respond, to say that it is true that currently there are serious policy gaps, which we have also indicated, and these policy gaps have to be addressed at a national level, wherein already long ago we have even drawn the attention of our national counterpart or National Department of Social Development to actually start having engagements with its counterpart nationally, with the purpose of trying to come and intervene on the issue of the policy that actually seeks to guide and govern issues of frail care, because we view that to be very much important. I think other issues members of the portfolio committee have succinctly spelled out in terms of the need to obviously separate executive from the parliament. I think on that score, you have been able to succinctly spoke about it in detail. I wouldn't want to venture into that, but safe to say, Chairperson, that when we came to present this report, mindful of the fact that it is, I don't want to say a draft, but a draft in the sense that it has not as yet been presented to EXCO, because procedurally it must go to EXCO. After going to EXCO, and that's where the legislature, in terms of playing its oversight role, whatever decision that EXCO come up with, whether they endorse this option or not this option, in the final analysis, portfolio committee members or the legislature is bestowed with the responsibility of overseeing whether that which we said we will do is being done accordingly, according to the law, and ultimately is able to serve the interests of the public and the beneficiaries in particular. So I'm aligning myself with the view that says it's fine, we can take the report to EXCO as we have said, and in terms of the two proposed options, and followed by that, then that's where we'll be able to continue to have further engagement. Chair, it's true that we have also drawn some lessons out of the tragedy that has actually bedeviled or befell Gauteng province, the life is diminished. We have drawn a lot of lessons out of that, and hence in one of our reports, perhaps we'll make sure that even in this very same report, because this report, you can see that somewhere it has got some reddish areas. The report was actually meant it was directed to the social cluster. We have not necessarily aligned it in a manner that we are directing it to the portfolio committee, because we are mindful that it is a raw draft report, hence we are appreciating the input. So there are lessons that we have learned from life as diminished, and we should be able to factor those in the final report that will be going to next. And also to say that indeed a panel of experts under the ministerial, the interministerial committee, which was constituted by the then minister in 2014. Indeed, the recommendations are as they are. Hence now, as Department of Health and Social Development and the task team in particular, under the leadership of the DG, we decided that it's important to also be guided by the material conditions on the ground, which are actually dictating, that we have to explore any other option that we think is the one that can be viable in the short, medium, but also long term, because the long term intention will obviously lead to what the Interministerial Committee has actually proposed, which is the demand of the community of Shiluvana. The reason why they embarked on strike, amongst others, was that they want government to take over. But government, because does not have the capacity, and we are acknowledging that we do not have the capacity, and basically social development is there for nothing else but to provide the psychosocial support. That's our primary mandate, basically, in terms of providing the psychosocial support. So hence, we are saying that even the letter of that expert of interministerial, it is saying that it is important that while we are acknowledging that the Department of Health at the moment does not have the capacity, neither social development has that capacity. However, that capacity should start to be built on the side of the Department of Health with the intention of future taking over. So I think that is what one would want to actually highlight, Chairperson, but also on issues of the structural defects that are there in the facility, we including the issues of the ablution facilities. It is not that they are not actually good, those ablution facilities. It's only that they are not user friendly. They are not accessible, to the type of beneficiaries that we have. And as a result, we have engaged public works to try and find a way of prioritizing that so that they can be able to make it be much more accessible to persons with disability. Pertaining to issues of license, Chair, I think Department of Health is actually better placed to reflect on that. Yes, the issue pertaining to the waiting list, the issues pertaining to the what you call the waiting list, Chair, I want my Deputy Director, Ms. Tabate, to reflect on that, and also all other issues that I might have not touched, including the issues of the strike, the issue of the illegal strike, Honorable Pala. Basically here, the employees who were affected, as you would know, were the employees of Life Estimate. And the information that we got was that the matter has since been resolved between Life Estimate and the employees. I think let me just leave it on that note and request Mr. Bate to then talk on the issue of the waiting list, which I'm told, in any way, let me just respond to it. With regard to the issue of the waiting list, as we have said that the capacity at the moment is 160. However, there is 4 people that are still on the waiting list, which there are processes that will ensure that ultimately those that are on the waiting list are also ultimately admitted, despite of the fact that now they are at 160 means they are full. So we hope and believe that as gradually others are moving out, and we should be able to take some other. I think that is from us, Chairperson. But after all, we sincerely and profoundly want to appreciate all the comments. They will guide us, and we will continue to subject ourselves to your guidance, Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee, with all our weaknesses and challenges that we continue to experience. It's only that Office of the Premier is not here because they would be able to also respond, particularly on the legal point of view around issues of the MOU, because obviously there would be an MOU that when we venture into a joint management, for the purpose of making sure that there is a smooth running of that kind of an arrangement, there will be a memorandum of agreement that is actually entered into. And unfortunately, Office of the Premier is not here from the legal side to try and expatiate further, but their plans are afoot to ensure that that is actually being attended to. We'll leave no stone unturned. If you check in the presentation, there was something in red about human resource implications legal what implications, and all those things. Those are the kind of things that we are continuing to grapple with, and we believe that we'll get support and advice, legal advice from Office of the Premier, including Treasury, which are also part of the task team, and they are actually assisting a lot in terms of all other issues pertaining to the finances and so on and so on. So Chairperson, will ensure that there is no interruption of services. Will all these processes that we are embarking on, all these processes with the view and intention of making sure that we avert and avoid any interruption of services from October. We have now, in as much as we have not as yet got the approval from the side of EXCO, but we are like from the view that because we are sort of technocrats, we move from the premise that if we are to be given a go ahead, we are starting to put systems in place to ensure that the option 1 that we spoke about and the option 4 that we are talking about can actually kick in. And we are doing that on the proviso that EXCO will actually at least hear from us in as much as they will advise further, and then we'll then be able to take it from there. Because indeed, the period of 3 months is what is actually being stipulated, that we should make sure that we put systems in place to ensure that we'll not have a problem, Chairperson. Thanks very much.
Thank you, HOD. Thank you, HOD. Is there any hand, honorable members? If there is no hands, honorable members, I think we all agree that this matter was brought to us as the portfolio committees, the joint committees. The issue was that the contract of Life Isidimeni is ending on September. And I think it's good that honorable members deliberated on the matter, and we all agree that we need to send the report to the ESCO to finalize this matter urgently. We all agree on that one. And to say that, as the HOD said, that the matter is very sensitive and there will be no interruption on the current services regarding the lapsing of the contract. But while we are saying the report will be sent to ESCO to finalize the matter, we have noted all the things that the portfolio committees have said, and I will then hand over to the chairperson of health to summarize and close. I see the hand of Honorable Livia, then I will hand over to Honorable Mato, the chairperson of health, to summarize and close for us. Honorable Livia.
Thanks, Chairperson. I want to check with you if the HOD of Health is in the meeting with us here. If she is, I wanted, there's something that we needed clarity from that the HOD of Social could not give to us with regards to the licensing of the institution. If she's here, could she kindly give us a bit of info on what has been delaying the licensing of the institution, or if it's something that is privy to the EXCO, we'll leave it as such, but would like to also hear in terms of licensing, something that is very important. We cannot have a facility like that, Chairperson, that is not licensed, and we don't do anything about it. It's within our mandate. Could we kindly allow the HOD to speak to us about it? And if it's something that is the Joint Portfolio Committee can attend to it, let the two processes go concurrently. Let the process of registering the institution commence, and while we are waiting for the EXCO to give us a green light on the way forward. Thanks very much.
I think the HOD of Health was released, and the HOD of Social Development said that the report they did the report together. maybe the HOD of social development must also take responsibility on the issue of licensing and respond to honorable members. HOD.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Relate together the report. Can you respond on the issue of the licensing, please?
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Chairperson. Although I'm not flat-footed, Chair, the issue pertaining to licensing, remember, is actually as a result of the Mental Health Care Act, which requires that facilities of that nature, which have got more than 5 patients, have to be licensed. So I think maybe, I don't know, at the Department of Health, as I said, I see Dr. Tombo is part of the meeting and other colleagues from health, because nature does not allow a vacuum. So they are better placed to maybe respond as to what is it that has been done pertaining to that. Yeah, they are the custodian of the Mental Health Act, basically. Thanks, Chair.
I see the end of Honorable Pala.
I'm fine, Chair. It's okay.
The hand of the HOD together is
the HOD of Health, Honorable Chairperson. I can see Dr. Thokozani Mklango.
Oh, okay. She's here. HOD of Health.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session, and thank you to the honorable members. The issue of licensing of mental health institutions, it's a policy issue that is actually dealt at the national level by the Interministerial Task Team. The document has been presented at National Health Council TEC, which still needs to be endorsed in terms of the regulation itself in line with the Mental Health Care Act. So it is actually receiving attention, and as such, it will be addressed accordingly. I thought earlier on, in terms of the document itself, there was an indication in the presentation that there is still a vacuum in terms of policies that also governs this space. So this work is happening parallel to the work that the task team is also doing locally. So indeed, it is and it will receive the necessary attention. But from a policy point of view, it has to also to be through the national policy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, HOD, for the clarity. I will then hand over to Honorable Chair Matlou to summarize and close for us. This was a really fruitful meeting. Honorable Chair.
No, Honorable Chair, good day and good day to honorable members, the staff from the 2 departments. My apology for joining late. I thought my exam will finish exactly at 10, and unfortunately, it at 10:30. But I've been able to listen to most of the presentation, and I'm quite grateful that honorable members have discussed the issue. I think it was in a correct context that Honorable Munama said they were discussing it prematurely because it needs to go to ESCO, but I think it was an eye-opener. It gave us exactly what happened. And I also believe that Honorable Razalani summed it up very well in terms of us as the 2 portfolio committees, how best can we deal with the matter. Colleagues must also remember that initially in Limpopo, we had a department called Department of Health and Social Development. And it's where this thing comes from. And even if you can look at some of the cars of the department. I want so one castle written Department of Health and Social Development because we are one government. It's just that issues in relation to responsibilities when they're given to departments, the issue of skills transfer, the issue that relates to capacitating the department, since the letter written by Dr. Mutsoledi, the then minister. So those are some of the issues that might have lagged behind. But I think not all is doom and gloom. I think before those who were there during the previous administration, the fourth and the fifth, if we remember, before the Section 100, there was an ESCO decision in relation to the issue of the Frail Center. And after that, it was held at bay. And as we speak also, there was also an ESCO decision, now best can the matter be dealt with. The only thing that I've observed, Chair, is a collaboration between the two departments. And it's an issue that we need to stress. We are not blaming anybody, but that lack of collaboration between the two departments is costing us that as the two portfolio committees, we are here to push very hard because of the situation that we find ourselves in relation to the time frame of the contract. Because to me, life as demean, what life as demean is doing, if we could have capacitated ourselves, we could have carried the responsibility. Because one, we are on a cross fire, because the same department nationally that speaks about capacity, it also lacks on issues of policy, as Dr. Mtlombe has just said, because if there is that policy gap, we also have a problem as a province that how do you move forward in relation to the policy gaps that we find ourselves. But I think the Premier has given matching orders. I think we'll navigate through that particular process in relation to the ESCO taking a decision to say where should this particular Frail Center fall into. Mind you, it's an embarrassment, honorable members, in the 25 years of our democracy. All centers that are predominantly white occupied, all of them, they've been given licenses if you make an assessment. And this one is not having a license, and we are also subject for litigation, both the social development, health, including the Department of Health nationally, including the president, because these are fragile issues that we're dealing with. An issue of an institution like that one, a Frail Center, is an issue that needs our attention, all of us, particularly as government of Limpopo. But by and large, I believe that we need to agree to what Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs has been saying, that we consistently, via your office, as social development, consistently request for a report and update in this particular regard to make sure that we're able to understand where is the progress. But hopefully, if we continue on making sure that we are informed, my only concern, Chair, even if the report is multi, it has got both the Premier's office, ourselves as health and social development. But my take is that there has been a very serious problem in terms of interaction, and is an issue that I think we need to deal with, and it's a matter of agency. I'm sorry, Honorable Chair. I was muted a bit. As a matter of extreme agency, that we need to make sure that we deal with this issue to its finality. It is good that both ourselves as health and also social development portfolio committees, we understand that our role is to make sure that we navigate through the responsibility bestowed at us in terms of oversight. And I really agree with Honorable Razilani that we'll wait for that particular ESCO decision. For us is to continue to monitor that any decision that is taken by ESCO is implemented to the letter. But I think I'll impress on both the chairperson of social development and also myself that we continuously engage on one-to-one with our members of the Executive Council to collaborate on the matter to the fullest, because my analysis is that that collaboration had a break in some instances, because I interacted with the MEC of Health, and she gave me the background in relation to before the Section 100, and after that, what was the ESCO saying. And to me, the process could have been finalized very early. But I want to appreciate the good work that Honorable Chair you have done in making sure that this thing is given the attention that it deserves. For us for now is to push very hard that ESCO must make a decision on the matter, so that we observe its implementation. Like what Honorable Levy has just said, that some of these particular issues needs us to move with speed. But I think also from going through now,